Hi there, Cosmic Family. My name is Leal. The moon has already moved out from Scorpio. Today we had the new moon here and entered in Sagittarius to spend its 2 days and a half there until November 22nd. The moon in Sagittarius could contribute with having this more amplified look, especially in situations where there is a lot of density, where we are forgetting that there is this capacity in us to transcend dark passages. Sometimes with specific decisions, and other times accepting life as it is being shown, because change is the nature of cosmos. And there comes a moment where purposes are revealed and new directions too. In short, the sun is also going to enter Sagittarius. So it is also important to have in account that the shadow could be confusing this seeking of freedom and expansion with something that brings an immediate benefit, with quotation marks, and that not necessarily contributes with the path in a general way. And this means that because we want to move out from grief quickly, or from emotions that we are feeling without respecting our own process to truly assimilate the transformation, decisions could be taken that are not evolutionary certain. On the other side, there are aspects of the new moon that are still in phase of perfection, in, for example, the opposition between the sun in Scorpio and Uranus retrograde in Taurus. That is exact tomorrow, November 21st. But we have been feeling this from the beginning of the week, and it is totally connected with the transit of yesterday, Mercury retrograde in Scorpio and Uranus, intention with Uranus. In fact, yesterday, it happened, the inferior conjunction, the Cassimi, that we call in astrology, between the Sun and Mercury retrograde. So, well, these are days of much revealing information. I am not referring only to a conversation or, a video. That could be also, because synchronicities could reach us through many places. But we talk about external scenes, situations that are bringing these revelations. And when we talk about the Sun in Scorpio in attention with Uranus, we also have to understand that these experiences are a calling to let go of an old form of our identity, to go through a symbolic death, or a death in some cases. So the being can be manifested. So the original being can re-emerge in a new level. For some people, the symbolic death, it is about taking action or taking a step towards something that they didn't do before, and perhaps this implies dealing with fears or things that are uncomfortable. For other people, could be literally accepting what they have to lose, with quotation marks, to find themselves. This is not truly losing anything. It is letting go of a form, so that energy can circulate in a different way, and we can uncover other processes. Or letting go of something that simply it is not being part of their reality, and they cannot force them to be. Like, a loving person that is not in this plane anymore, or other situations that happened to produce a change and that they don't have a return point. Also, because of the retrograde and Jupiter retrograde in Cancer being part of this grand trine of water with Sun, Saturn, and Neptune, I already explained this in previous videos. There are people connecting with memories, could be of other lives even, or things that happened a long time ago. But if they are returning, it's because there is an integration. There is something that we have to do with that information in the present moment. The unique reason through why we connect with previous lives, or situations of the past are returning with much intensity. I am not referring to remember something one day. It is with intensity, because this is a Scorpio, is to produce a liberation in the present moment. Because there could be a perception that is producing emotional states, and that is leading us to take decisions, is influencing us to take decisions, or co-creating certain things in our reality. For example, if there is a painful situation that continues to produce a lot of resentment, which is the shadow of Scorpio, and also of Taurus, because both of them, they are very, very attached in its shadow with a perception and with emotions that certain situations could have generated for a long time. So this truly affects the one that is transiting the path. In somehow, each one of us has their own rhythm. I don't think that, forgiving oneself is something that we have to force. It is not being produced from that space. But there are practices that actually help, like observing the lessons of those circumstances, not as a punishment of life, as experiences, as the spirit experimenting itself through us in different circumstances, and to learn to see the love that they are containing, perhaps in an indirect way. I don't know if I'm mentioning this word. I am talking about that. Perhaps there are people that transited so much pain in certain moments of their life, and that pain perhaps won't be totally eradicated. There are many different situations in this world, and for different people, but the wisdom that could be extracted, or the capacity of resilience, could turn into a bridge to contribute with other people, and in the healing of others we are actually able to see the greater purpose in the difficulties that we transited before. And there is where the forgiveness can be enabled as a liberation again, or as a way of trusting again in life and in miracles, because the fear of suffering is also something that could keep us closed in a known space, but that is not allowing us to grow. I do think that it's important to understand that we don't have to distort forgiveness with the attachment to a circumstance that we have difficulties to let go of, or not establishing healthy boundaries. That wouldn't be forgiveness. That is the conditioning, using forgiveness as an excuse to perpetuate that identification that certainly has functioned as a way of surviving, but it comes a point that doesn't allow us to experiment life from a greater plenitude. The thing is that somehow all of our conditionings were ways of survival. Giving too much, stay in an alert state, mistrusting everything, being mistrustful of everything, taking responsibilities of other people that aren't corresponding to us, among many patterns. I'm not going to mention all of them. And those things are adopted because in some way we are receiving the validation, the attention, or the love that for a child in its mind development, that means life or death. There are even children that they didn't learn to, they learn to not bother, to not ask for attention, to receive that validation. So elevating ourselves spiritually, it is going to imply to deal with these patterns, the ones that are most rooted in each one of us, and understanding that the more energy that we put in defending that thing that we have identified with, the more that we are going to be drained. And the act of surrendering and to stop controlling open the doors to the freedom. And that also, even this identity, this present identity, we incarnated with a limit. Physical life has a limit at this moment, at least. So we could learn to see it as an aspect, but not the totality. I mean, we are individuals, but we are not separated from the rest of creation, because everything shares the same root that is invisible to our eyes, but we could perceive that with our heart. It is about disidentificating when there is excess of attachment to certain aspects of the identity, but without disassociation of the experience. This could seem an opposition, but is something that actually can coexist. I am referring to understand ourselves as a fragment of the universe through which light can circulate, and we can bring that light into this world if we do the labor, the permanent labor of elevating our consciousness, because this has no end. And at the same time, living human experience with our imperfections, with lights and shadows, not turning the spiritual into a rejection of our body, of our emotions, or the matter, but an integration that allows us to recognize the sacred in the simple things. Thank you, everyone. See you in the next video. Ciao, ciao.